Trading for Wednesday, June the 8th. And overall, a good day, 4.25 points on a few trades, a little bit better than what we saw for yesterday. But still not a lot of trades in here. It's something that I'm not too concerned about that. I don't try to aim to have 5 or 10 trades in a day or anything. I'm just happy to take what the market offers. And right now, market's offering a little bit less because there's a bit less volume, volatility going on, a few less swings. There's not quite as many trades to be had, and part of that can be chalked up potentially to just getting into some of that summer trading. And there's going to be periods of higher volatility, periods of lower volatility during the summer. So I'm not too worried if, like I said, for one day or a week or I have a few less trades. I just want to focus on taking the good trades that fit my plan, not trying to search for anything, not trying to force anything, and that allow me to have my edge play out and be profitable at the end of the week. So that's where people run into troubles when things are a little bit slow. They try and force things that aren't really there. But as you can see, started a little bit late and kind of ended a little bit late as well here, going just after noon Eastern time on the day. We'll take a look at some of the trades. On the first one up in here, we were running up into yesterday's high. So there really wasn't anything up in here to trade long. There was actually some stuff earlier, but that was the trading that I missed because I wasn't actually at the screens at the time. But we were running up here, momentum starting to slow, really struggling to kind of push through at yesterday's high. So not too much in there that was of interest as we started to get a bit more extended as well. But once the sellers came in with some pretty good force here, and we saw this little flip zone basically being created that acted as some resistance, some support. Really nice area to trade off of in line with that momentum. Now the only real mistake here, or regret I suppose, is that I didn't take a bigger win on this. Hindsight is kind of 2020. It's something that we had a pretty good flip zone in here. Again, that it acted as both resistance and support earlier. Something that I expected to see a bit more reaction from, but looking back on it, probably could have just trailed things behind some of these consolidations, which I often do. But this initial move, well, it was a good one, wasn't necessarily strong enough for me to fully expect this type of drop. It can happen, of course, can always happen, but I kind of work off the probabilities, what's likely. So I was happy to take the 2.5 there, even though I missed out on a bit. Had the move been a bit bigger, a bit stronger, probably would have been more patient with it or would have aimed for a little bit more. But it's something that, again, working off those probabilities, I know that a lot of times I am going to get a reaction here and I'm going to have price come back on me a little bit, even if it does continue down. So, taking the high probability profit that's available isn't necessarily such a bad choice, as long as you understand kind of how these situations typically play out and you're thinking in terms of 20, 30 of these sort of setups playing out and what the likely scenario is going to be. But then we kind of worked our way back up here, a little bit of a channel as we kind of tested this lower edge a little bit and then the upper edge a couple times, but not too much momentum to the upside. Nothing that was really suggesting that buyers were taking any real control here after seeing some really strong seller control. So without that really compelling, overwhelming evidence to kind of flip direction, I want to be pretty cautious. So I don't want to, again, try to force things, try to impose my will on the market if the market's not really telling me that things are shifting into buyers taking some control. And we eventually worked our way up here with very limited momentum. And once I saw this break down, that was what I was waiting for. And I tried to get in here, was unable to do so. Sometimes that happens. I was just looking for a little bit more of a pullback in towards that trend line break so I could get a little bit of a better price. Have to miss out on that one, but again, maybe a bit more momentum, might have been a bit more aggressive with it, but most cases I only want to get more aggressive in response to an aggressively moving market. So if I miss out on the occasional trade, not a big deal. So decent short in here where I was looking for a further break lower because we had a pretty good run down here, so I was hoping for something of a similar sort of distance. When it didn't happen here, we started to come into a bit of drawdown, that deeper pullback, seeing this level potentially acting as a little bit of support here. It seemed fairly likely that we were going to kind of snap back as we tested back into here. Now, we might have tested a little bit lower. I was just going to take a profit before this swing point here. Almost got it, but not quite. And when it started to shoot back, I was more than happy to bring in that risk because of the way that things had already acted in here, the way we'd already come back deeper. the extra risk that had become associated with this setup. But really nice move up and a good long here to just basically take things back up into the yesterday's high level that had been pretty reactive before. So, overall, pretty simple stuff. Could have been a 4-trade day, and if I had had that fill, run that other one down, maybe even had been a potentially a 10-point day or so, or something close to it. But I'm not again too concerned with that. There's you don't want to let perfect get in the way of profitability, essentially. And when traders start to basically force everything and try to catch every point of every move, that's where all of a sudden everything just kind of crumbles apart, where profitability is almost impossible to achieve. So you kind of have to accept sometimes that if you're going to follow your plan, occasionally there might be something you miss out on. Maybe there's something you don't fully maximize in terms of that profitability. But as long as you get a good chunk out of the market, you can do that consistently, most days, and certainly, every week, consistently pulling out a good, solid result. Doesn't really matter if you take every point that's out there. So hopefully you guys had a good one. Let's hope that things kind of pick up a little bit as the week goes on, maybe a little bit more opportunity, a few more trades, and I'll see you guys in the next recap.